Hutchinson's story is an exceptional industrial adventure. The adventure of rubber, which in more than 160 years has become the partner for all our movement on land, at sea, and in the air. Our story began with a meeting between two men. On one side, Hiram Hutchinson, an American businessman, and on the other, Charles Goodyear, a chemist and inventor of the rubber vulcanization process. When Charles Goodyear sold the rights to use his patents, Hiram chose to set up in France. At the start of the Second Empire, Napoleon III had a policy to promote investment. Hiram Hutchinson was the first of these leading entrepreneurs who helped ensure the success of French industry from the end of the 19th century. In Chalette-sur-Loing, two rivers crossed at a place called Longwy. This was the location of a large building, a paper mill, which had been running at full capacity 60 years previously, but whose machines were now silent. This was perfect for Hiram Hutchinson. He installed energy-generating turbines and shipped his machines across the Atlantic. The town's men were the efficient workforce for this model factory that was taking shape. The forests of Bolivia and Guyana provided its raw material. Production could now get started. Ahead of his time, Hiram Hutchinson adopted new workplace practices for his employees. In 1855, 20 years ahead of the market, he prohibited work for children under the age of 12 without parental consent. He also set up a relief fund for sick workers and even made areas available for growing vegetables alongside the buildings. This phenomenon later spread throughout the Chalette district. Rubber shoes, groundbreaking. It was now possible to keep your feet dry whatever the weather. Hiram Hutchinson achieved great success. In 1854, 5,000 pairs of shoes were being produced each day. Less than 10 years after setting up, his shoes were sold not only throughout France, but also in England, Belgium, and Germany. To expand its range, Hutchinson also started producing waterproof clothing. By 1860, Longwy was no longer big enough. So, Hiram Hutchinson opened a new factory in Mannheim, Germany, to meet the demand from Central Europe. When he returned to the U.S. in 1867, Hiram Hutchinson left control of the business to his son Alcander. Alcander had his father's entrepreneurial mindset and dedication to work. But looking to leave his own mark, he set about developing the industrial sector. During the night of September 23, 1869, a fire broke out at Longwy, destroying the central building, equipment, and materials. To get production up and running again as quickly as possible, Alcander called on Gustav Eiffel, a promising 37-year-old engineer. In record time, Eiffel achieved a major technical achievement and built a thin, lightweight metal framework roof. Alcander took this opportunity to completely renew his factory and machines. On wheels, movement was booming with the widespread adoption of automobiles and the development of the modern bicycle. Hutchinson invented the monofil bike tire in 1906, 3 years after the first Tour de France. Once again, it was a success. New factories were set up in Italy and Spain, supporting the sales offices opened throughout Europe. These were also the years of the automobile, for which Hutchinson launched production of adapted tires in 1903. This marked the start of a long partnership with the auto industry. In 1910, Hutchinson made a major innovation: balloon fabric. Clément Bayard's dirigible airship, built with this fabric, invented by Hutchinson, was the first to cross the English Channel. Longwy was the only factory in France with the know-how needed for this and equipped the biggest vessels in the skies: Astra Torres, Adjudant Vincenot, and Celle de Beauchamp. In the air, Hutchinson also left its mark on the exploits of the aviation pioneers, thanks to its coated fabric for the wings of Newport's airplanes, as well as the tires, making it possible to carry very heavy loads with the Henriot and Blériot aircraft. This was also the time of the first adverts. Illustrators were incredibly creative to present the brands. For Hutchinson, Misch invented the grinder character. He boasted that the tires were stronger than steel and brought a colorful, fun approach to communications. The grinder story accompanied Hutchinson's journey for several decades. Between 1920 and 1927, Longwy welcomed around 225 Chinese workers on work-study scholarships, partly funded by their government. They included a certain Deng Xiaoping, who went on to play an important role in the fledgling People's Republic of China. Since then, Montargis has become a place of memories, with particularly strong links to China, where Hutchinson has been present since 1995. Hutchinson accompanied the major moments from the 1930s with iconic products that helped ensure its success. Between 1924 and 1932, André Citroën fueled imaginations with his expeditions in Africa, then in Asia. The famous half-track cars, which traveled roads and trails around the world, ran on Quegres tracks, fitted with Hutchinson belts. These expeditions represented one of the French auto industry's biggest successes. Hutchinson took to the sea on board the Normandy. Its rubber floor mats were highly sought after on ships for their stabilizing properties, durability, and simple maintenance. For such a luxurious boat, they were created in a range of colors, tailored to meet the demands of the most fashionable interior designers. On the other side of the Atlantic, the engineer Irvin Peets, working with Ellen Barry and Charles Creed, developed anti-vibration mounts for radar gun directing equipment for the U.S. Navy surface boats in 1943, in operation during the Second World War. In the 1930s, the engineer Jean-Félix Paulsen invented a decisive process for absorbing shocks. The Dynaflex suspension controlled vibrations. It was the vital solution enabling all of Marcel Dassault's aircrafts to fly, because they had radial engines at the time. The Block 200, 220, and 150, planes from other manufacturers like Latécoère, Breguet, and Potez were able to take to the skies thanks to Dynaflex. All of these technological achievements would not have been possible without research. In order to constantly discover new uses for rubber and improve its performance, Hutchinson ramped up its laboratory tests very quickly. Research offices were set up, vulcanization techniques were perfected, new mixes were invented. Research and development has supported the company throughout its history. After the Second World War, everything needed to be rebuilt, and rubber, which facilitated movement, became increasingly popular. The company passed a new milestone and modernized its production methods. Massive investments and the arrival of assembly lines. In 1958, Hutchinson doubled its production volume. This is the period for leisure activities. While vans promoted the Allègre brand on the beaches, leading cyclists flying Hutchinson's colors filled the podiums on the Tour de France. New models of cars also flourished, while the number of train lines grew. Hutchinson specialized in anti-vibration mounts, profiles, hoses, elbow fittings, molded parts, and belts helped ensure comfort and safety for the rapidly developing means of transport. In the 1980s, the world accelerated. Hutchinson was more than ever vital to ensuring safety and comfort in motion. Further, higher, quicker. Thanks to Hutchinson, Ariane and Airbus reached for the stars. The TGV high-speed trains ran throughout France. The Rafale, with its increasingly stealth design, set new records for speed. The Téméraire submarine became increasingly silent. Since 1853, we have been inventing bespoke materials and solutions for our manufacturer partners, primarily in the automotive, aerospace, and industrial sectors, with one goal: ensuring the comfort and safety of everyone, on land, at sea, and in the air. We are making our customers' vehicles and aircrafts more sealed, more resistant, quieter, lighter, and more energy efficient. We make it possible.